Welcome back, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 8th. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text at 252-582-5028. Or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. If you guys want to help us keep the conversation going, you can support the show by sharing it online, leaving us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. We're going to leave a link in the description so you can do just that. But before we do anything else, let's go ahead and hit the verse of the day.
You sound so charming when you say that. You guys can help us keep the conversation going by supporting the podcast, sharing it online, leaving us a good 5-star review.
That's my radio voice.
Very,
I practice it.
Very charismatic, very, very charming.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of calmness to it. You guys can help us do that by doing this and by doing that. But before we do anything else, y'all know what it is. It's the verse of the day.
Oh, gosh.
Read it to them.
Scared all of our listeners, including me.
Read it to them.
The verse of the day today, before John pops a gasket, comes from Galatians chapter 6, verse 10. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith.
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of people in the world whose desire is just to get ahead, to get even with somebody or just to get out of a difficult situation. But we have desires that service us. That's sort of the human nature of what we do is how do I get ahead? How do I gain from this interaction? How do I gain from this choice? But people, what he's saying is we have the opportunity, let us do good for all. Let us do good to all,
right? Especially
Especially of those who are the household of faith. Means if you're a Christian, your desire should be to do good, even if you don't gain from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the I guess crux of this verse is those who are of the household of faith. As Christians, we're supposed to be an example to the world of what the love of God looks like. And that's to people who are outside of our faith, but it's especially to our brothers and sisters who are in Christ. If I am hateful to you and I mistreat you and I am self-centered and egotistical and I only look out for myself, what picture does that paint for the world about what body of Christ is like?
That's right.
I mean, if we can't even get along and we are both Christians, why would a non-Christian want any part of that?
Yeah, I don't want none of that.
Exactly.
It looks just like what I got, but worse, because they're at least pretending that they don't do it.
Right. So our love for one another is twofold. Number one, we should do it because we are being obedient to God and being Christ-like. And number two, because we are a good example to the world around us of what it means to be a follower.
That's right. And I want to speak this next segment in love. Because, I got love for all of God's creatures. I got love for all people.
Uh-huh.
But right now, we need to get into the grapevine.
Oh, that's a hard transition. Like, love all people straight into the grapevine.
Welcome to the grapevine. Do you want to explain to the people what the grapevine is?
The grapevine is a delightful segment on our show where we, John and I, and sometimes our sound engineers, will pluck a gripe that is ready for harvest.
Here's what it sounds like right here.
It is ripe. It is filled with tartness, acrid comments, and it is ready for consumption.
That's it, man. I've got a gripe today.
Your gripe today. Okay.
Slow people.
Like driving or just,
people who are slow.
That just move slowly?
That move slowly with no urgency at all. So I'll be sitting in my house and my wife will say, we need to be somewhere at 6 o'clock. And I look at the time and it's 5:30. And I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be a problem. I'll shower, put on a shirt, put on a pants, put on a shoes. I'm ready to go. It's 6 o'clock. My wife hasn't even showered. And so I'm like, hey, babe, it's time to let's go. And she's like, I'm not ready. I haven't been getting ready. I've been doing this and that and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I'll help you. Give me a list of things that I can be doing. So I'm like, okay, I'll go change the baby. I'll put the baby's clothes on. I'll do this. I'll do that. Hey, you're ready to go? No, I'm not ready. I can't get ready if you keep asking me. People just move slowly. And it tees me off.
Is this people or is this your wife?
My wife is one of the worst. Your wife is pretty slow too.
She can be.
Yeah.
However, we do have 5 kids to get from location A to location B. Yeah. So that's a production anytime we go anywhere.
It's not just my wife, although she's one of the main offenders. David is also fairly slow.
What?
Dave, you are pretty slow.
How did I get into this?
There's a lot of times where you're just slow. I'm like, okay, so we're recording at 1 o'clock, right? We're like today. We'll take today for example. We're recording at 1 o'clock. I tell, hey guys, we're all good to record at 1. Okay, so 1:15 comes by. I haven't thought about it. Nicholas is like, hey, he comes in. He's like, are we going to record? I'm like, yep. Hey guys, let's go ahead and get up. And no one gets up. We're doing stuff.
I don't get up. I don't not get up because I'm slow. I don't get up because it's not like, hey, let's go record the podcast. Come on. It's like, hey, you get up out of your seat.
Is that what I said?
Yes.
Well, I said that I said that, but I said I was making a point.
Is that what I said? Well, I said that.
I was making a point to
that.
Nicholas. Also, you're just kind of fairly slow. You just did an episode last week talking about how you didn't like to do projects on a Sunday because you just want to chill.
But that's not because I'm slow. That's just because on Sunday I'm ready to be unconscious.
Do you feel as though you're fast, or do you think you're more of a slow mover?
It depends on what's going on.
I think it's situational.
Yeah, it's very situational. If it's an urgent situation where I need to be fast, I can be quick. But
I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to cut you off. The same can be said of your wife, though, because I've seen her zip back and forth to take pictures of literally every square inch of this campus on a Sunday within a service time.
Then I'll amend my gripe to be slow people to people who are not on my time.
And there it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Because when things are urgent, I want people to move urgently. Like for instance, don't say, "Hey, we need to be somewhere at 6," and then 6:00 and you haven't showered.
But it's not urgent. It's what you think is urgent.
I don't want to be somewhere at 6.
Okay.
So let me just paint this scenario and see if this would alleviate some of the discomfort.
Sure.
5:30. Hey, John, we need to be somewhere at 6.
Yeah, I'll
what is your immediate response?
Where are we going? Get the details.
Okay. All right. Here's the details.
All right. Then I sniff. Yeah, I gotta bathe.
Okay.
So we go through the routine. 15 minutes later, I'm ready. So 5:45, I'm ready to be in the car.
Okay. 15 minutes later, you are ready.
I'm ready.
So what if we flip that script and then you say, okay, we need to be somewhere, it's 5:30 now. What do you need to do in order to get ready? How can I help us get out of the door on time?
That conversation doesn't happen until we're already 15 minutes late.
So that right there, let's take that and just reverse that.
No, because I feel as though, okay, that's fine. But let's put up top. She comes to me and says, hey, we need to be somewhere in 30 minutes. You're responsible for getting both of us ready.
No, but she wants you to be like, hey, what can I do? What can I do to help? Do you need me to take the kids and do this? Like, how can I help us be successful in this endeavor that you have brought? You have brought the endeavor to the table. How can I assist in making this endeavor possible?
Ellie is slow. Like, she's slow. She does things slowly, but it's not that she wants me to move fast. She wants. I don't know what she wants. I should probably have her on the podcast and see.
Oh, we're getting a text message from Ellie.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Why is he talking junk? And David, you can be slow. You can be slow. And I think that's bad.
I'm slow.
I think that's bad and should be avoided. That's why it's on the grapevine.
I'm slow when it comes to things that you think are important that I know are not.
Like this morning. You
wanted coffee. I was going to bring this up. I was just going to say this. You texted me, coffee, three question marks.
Yes.
Right.
What does that say to you?
Already aggressive.
Right. That says...
multiple punctuation, already aggressive.
That says to me that...
This is urgent.
That says to me that I'm on the way. I expect you to have coffee made for me. And
it was 9:50.
Right. That right there makes me like... No,
You're like, I'm gonna take my time. So I'm
gonna take my time. I'm not gonna have it ready when he gets here.
So then, I asked, I was like, hey, is there coffee? And you're like, in a minute, I just got to write an email. Okay, that's perfectly reasonable. That was at what 9:55. 10:40 rolls around, and you're still writing one email. One email.
I wasn't writing the email for the whole time.
So you told a lie.
I wrote the email.
You told a lie.
I had to get pictures and stuff to go in the email, and then I had to link all that. And then after I finished that, I moved on to some other stuff, and I did like the radio show, or I did like the stuff that goes on Pastor Shah's PhD page. So that was all of that happening within that hour. It wasn't just the email. I just told you the email so that you would get off my back.
See if this helps. Okay? And I realize this is unsolicited advice. Sure. You're the one who harvested the gripe, so I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you refine the gripe.
Okay.
Get ready last.
Yeah.
You get ready last. Like say, okay, I'll watch the boys. You go ahead and get in the shower. I'll get them ready to go. And then when you get out of the shower, because it doesn't, how you said 15 minutes maybe for you?
Well, that was a lie. Maybe? That was a lie. But it made my point. So yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, not as long for you to get ready as it does for your wife to get ready.
Right.
Which is typical.
Right.
Typically, as guys, it doesn't take us as long as it does our wife.
So you're
to get ready.
saying kind of lounge for a while.
No. I'm saying you accomplish okay, I got to pack the diaper bag. Okay, I got to change the boys. Okay, I got to get them dressed and ready to go. Got to make sure we got this, wherever we're going, make sure we have what we need. You do all of those things. Let her go get herself ready. And then be like, okay, babe, we got 10 minutes left. I need to do this, X, Y, and Z. You get the boys in the car, and I'll meet you out there.
I just got to, and I think that's bad advice, but I will. I'm not gonna dismantle it because this intro is kind of running long. I just got a text from Melissa, who works in the office with us. Y'all want coffee, and guess what? If I were to say yes, which I did, she's gonna make it right now, and that's the way it should be done. And I feel like I'm showing my entire behind right now.
You are,
but
I feel like a lot of your problems too would be solved if you just brought coffee from home.
That's fair. That's more than fair. All right, we got to stop this intro because it's running long. But that's my gripe. Slow people.
Well, there you go. We've got a great episode planned for you guys today. Hopefully, we're not going to move through the rest of the episode slowly, but at an enjoyable pace where you can benefit from the conversation. We're going to get Dr. Shah, but if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028 or visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, my name's Ellie.
And I'm David.
And we want to take a minute and let you know how we can actually serve you as you're listening to Clearview Today.
The Bible paints an extraordinary picture of who we are as a church body. The mission of Clearview Church is to lead all people into a life-changing, ever-growing relationship with Jesus Christ. A huge part of leading people is praying for them. A big reason that Christians have unanswered prayers in their life is because they're not praying.
You know, 1 John 5:15 says, "And if we know that he hears us, whatever we ask, we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him." If you're listening to the Clearview Today show, we want to know how we can pray for you as well.
There's a number of ways that you can get in touch with us at Clearview and share your prayer requests, but the best way is by texting us at 252-582-5028. You can also send us an email at prayer@clearviewbc.org, or you can download the Clearview app on iTunes or Google Play. You know, on that app, there's a dedicated prayer wall that helps us to get to know what's going on in your life, how we can pray for you, and how we can take any necessary steps to get you moving in the right direction.
Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the show.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right. And if today's your very first time joining the podcast, we want to welcome you. Let you know who's talking to you today. Dr. Abadan Shah is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time pastor, and the host of today's show. You can find all of his work on his website at abadanshah.com. And I got to say, we got a full house today.
We do.
A lot of guests around the table.
I am too. Those of you who are watching the show, you already have kind of an idea what's coming up. If you're listening, maybe not so much. But Dr. Shah, why don't you introduce our special guests on today's episode?
Absolutely. You know, people may not realize that, but back in seminary days, gospel music is what I used to listen to all the time.
Okay.
I mean, from the Gaithers to the cathedrals.
Yeah,
that
little crab family.
Oh, yes, that was our thing. And I used to work on a paint crew, and we had that little stereo box over there blaring.
They had it blasting.
Yes, and you know, they we would sing along. We thought we could sing just as good, but we couldn't.
Yeah, you don't realize how good some of those guys are until you try to sing this song.
Until you try to hit.
I thought I was like as good as Jason Crabb, and then I was like, oh no.
Now, who was the one in the original group who used to hit the high notes? Oh, come on! In the Gaither vocal band.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I can't place
Jimmy
it.
Fortune?
No, they've had several ones. Now there's another one.
I can't think of his name.
But he used to Michael. What is his name? But anyway, it'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
And I thought I could hit it, and I would try, but it didn't work. But today we have my good friend Jimmy Barrier here with us, along with one of his friends and buddies on his group. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Donald Dixon is here with us. We call him Chip. So.
All right.
Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you, Chip.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to clarify, was it Michael English?
No, it was Michael English could hit high notes
Mark
too.
Blair.
Mark Lowry is good.
Is that who?
But there was another guy on that show. Oh my goodness! Now I have to find it.
Okay.
Now I have to find it. Guy Penrod.
Okay.
That's him.
Oh,
Nice.
Guy with the hair.
Yeah, man, he could hit those high notes and be
Yeah.
like, "You remember Guy Penrod? Oh my
yeah.
goodness!"
He kind of always had that Western.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
One of my favorites in that group.
Wow.
I remember when I was growing up, we had, we'd listen to stuff on Sunday mornings, and it'd be the Florida Boys.
Oh yes, yes.
I don't even know what happened to them.
Well, I met the Cathedrals. I met each and every one of them at a convention, and man, they were super nice.
You met him in person? Wow. You met
In
George
person.
Yunts?
Yeah, the
Wow.
original group. I mean, the original ones,
Uh-huh.
and it was very, very kind.
Wow.
I mean, there's just amazing people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
one
really
of my
awesome.
one of my things that I'm proud of is I kind of got to sing with Sonia Isaac in a hotel lobby.
Wow.
And, that was pretty good. The Isaacs were there.
Yes,
and,
yes, yes.
of course, Jimmy Fortune and the Isaacs and a couple more guys have got some songs out now.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing Eagle songs and
Wow.
things, and it's really good.
But you yourself have a group and have had fun for a while.
Yeah, I've been playing music since I was a kid. I started out playing a wash tub bass. Couldn't afford, so my friend Curtis Tyndall and I, we got in the backyard and we made a wash tub bass. We'd seen it, and
That's crazy.
Had seen one. Somebody else had played one, and we were around it, and I started playing that, and then.
Not the same backyard across the street from me, though. No, this was not. Curtis Tyndall is my neighbor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. He lives directly across the street from me. But anyways, you grew
Wow.
up with
Yeah,
him.
on Tuesday night we go over and play in his basement sometimes, and I see Dr. Shah every once in a while out of the
Very
road
cool.
there. But we started playing in the dobro player that is Keith Aiken. He played with us, and we've been playing since we were kids. It was like 1973 is about the time that, actually the band that we played was called Salt Creek Express, and that was formed back in 1974, 75, somewhere in there. And we used to go down to Lewisburg to the folk festival in
Okay.
Lewisburg
What about
and
that?
compete in the folk festival. And we were kids. Doc Watson came one year and played. There was a guy named Alan DeMint that ran that, and he ran it every year, and it was run through the college.
Okay.
Alan DeHart. It's not DeMint. It was Alan DeHart was his name, but he's very iconic in music that was here and around.
That's right. That's right.
And the name of your group currently is.
It's a play on words now. Don't everybody laugh.
That's why I asked, because I love a good play on words.
Jimmy and the Sound Barriers.
I love it.
Love
So
that
you can
so
constantly
much.
break the sound barrier.
Yeah, Well, one reason it was that way is because I couldn't keep a group of musicians together. They're persnickety. So they're just they're odd ducks, and they have big egos sometimes, and it's hard to keep them together. So what I do is I swap out banjo players, or I swap out guitarists, or if I have something that somebody can't do and can't commit to, vacations, this, that, and the other, and I have something on 4th of July and I don't have a banjo player, I just sub in another banjo player.
So how many people all together on a?
In a bluegrass band, you usually have a dobro player,
Okay.
a bass player, a main guitar player, a banjo player, and a what else?
Fiddle player.
A fiddle player, if you can get one, they're rare.
That's a tough one to get.
Yeah.
Huh?
Is it hard to find a fiddle player?
It's hard to find a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I can imagine.
that's the qualifier. Like, you
Yeah.
may be able to find a fiddle player, but are they up to their
Yeah.
stuff?
That's hard to do. It's hard to find in that genre of music.
Right.
It's hard to get someone youthful to play that kind of music.
Well, that's what they say, too. They say if you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band.
Exactly. I heard that.
I've heard that once or twice somewhere. I can't.
The
remember
lead
who said
guitar is
that.
hot, but not for Louisiana, man.
Somewhere I see this going on.
Very nice. Well, tell us how, for both of you, how did you get started playing music? Where did this appreciation for gospel music specifically come from?
Well, mine started with an album that I got. It was the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band album, and it had a history of music and iconic people on it, and but that's where I kind of really started, and friends of mine that Curtis Tyndall and H.E. Tyndall, they played music, and kind of we would sit around on the neighborhood corners, and play with all the kids that come out, and we'd play. We had a guy named Al Wester that played a washboard. And,
my word. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
His dad was Wester Realty here, and
Okay.
Bill Wester.
Yeah.
And John Wester.
Yes. Yeah.
It's their brother. He's in Washington now. I think he's an interpreter for in Washington.
Okay.
Spanish interpreter is what I heard.
What about that?
But I hadn't seen him in a long time. But I'm going to tell him about this podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, they can listen to it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Come on.
And we play with another guy that I don't want to miss mentioning his name, Tommy Tunstall, and he played with us forever. We did little small gigs when we were young in different places and stuff.
Now these are all from right here, Henderson, Vance County.
Wow.
And Henderson. And then it kind of involved other people, older people that were around that helped us, and I wrote some of them down so I wouldn't miss any. The fiddle player that's going to come for this Night of Praise is Dunk Preddy was his grandfather, and he had a place over in Franklin County.
Okay.
And we would, by the time we turned 16, we would get in the Volkswagen and go over and play on Friday nights at this little shack, they called it, But we'd play music there,
Wow.
And his name is Clifton Preddy.
Okay.
That's going to be coming. I got my fingers crossed. He works where he may have to be out of town, maybe out of the country.
Oh, wow.
So I got my fingers crossed on that
we'll
fiddle
pray
player.
that he'll.
But if
be able
you'll
to
be
come.
amazed if he's here, and
Wow.
you'll be amazed with J.W. Sanders, who's the banjo player. And J.W., where is he from, Chip?
Clarksville.
He's from Clarksville.
Yeah, he's Clarksville, Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, we go off there quite often.
And you
And
know,
he's also a book writer too. He's
Is that right?
yeah, he's published several books here.
What kind of books does he write?
He fiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I think he's got books on Amazon for sale.
Really?
What about
Wow.
that?
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, and he'll be here.
Okay.
yeah.
And of course, you'll be here, Mr. Chip.
Yeah, I'll be here
All right.
doing whatever Jimmy needs me to do.
So what do you play?
Whatever he needs me to play.
Okay.
Just
He's multi-talented.
Is that right?
I think he wants me to play the bass on some of the songs that he sings, and I'll be playing the guitar most of the night.
Yeah, I like to have another bass player other than me when I sing my songs, because
Right.
it's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your stomach.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You engage in two different parts of the brain at once.
Yeah, and I have what I call lyric detention deficiency.
I'm amazed when I watch people play drums and sing at the same time. I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it takes a lot of
Oh
concentration.
yeah, they got their feet going too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
their
and they're still
minds-
singing.
yeah.
You
And it's,
played on your worship team when you were small in
I
India,
did.
didn't you?
I did. I played, of course, synthesizer, and then I used to play some drums.
Yeah.
So
You were telling me about the different instruments they had, like what was the little piano box that it was called?
yeah, it's like an accordion, but it's called a harmonium.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I used to play the harmonium. I still can.
Still can.
It takes a few
Yeah.
tries and it'll get
It's
back
just-
in.
I would imagine it's kind of hard to find one here and there.
Yeah, you can find one in the
Yeah.
big cities. Yeah,
We've
cool.
got to work on finding a harmonium.
Yeah,
Having
harmonium.
An episode dedicated
Yeah.
to that on the show. We've got to write it down. Somebody. We got to make it.
It's just an accordion, is all
Yeah.
it is, really.
How did the Nights of Worship get started here at Clearview? Because that's something that we've been doing for a good while.
Yeah, and I think it's worship is such an important part of Christian life, especially church life. Sometimes people downplay that. They focus on the word, which I'm very much passionate about that. But worship is almost like it's like the drink. It helps you swallow the content down. That's why we have worship. It gets our hearts and our minds right upon God and ready to receive the word. And so the nights of worship that we started here at Clearview are so beautiful, so well attended. You see people just raising their hands, worshiping God, praising. And so
music is powerful.
Music is powerful.
And Dr. Shah, being the theologian that you are, I've always heard that Lucifer's job was the minister of music.
Yes.
And
yes.
And because he knew it was powerful.
And that's why with music and worship, it's such a thing. You tread in that direction with humility and recognition that when you're praising God, you're telling the enemy, I got your job.
That's right.
So you always do it in a sense of humility, never bragging, never boasting, because you're under attack.
Yeah. There was a time when you told me that it really transformed the way I thought, because there was a time where I felt like there was so much trouble or so much like just
attacks
and fires, constantly putting out fires. Like you can't do anything creative because you're constantly putting fires out. And I was talking to Dr. Shah about it, and he's like, well, that you're telling the devil that this is your job now, and you're doing his job. Of course he's not going to be happy with you doing it if you're not strong and if you're not guarded up in the word and you don't have Christ on your side. That's of course you'll always be putting fire.
Your heart has to be in the right place.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a great point.
And that's kind of what you were saying too, like musicians just being a different breed of people. Like it just, if it's not managed well and God's not on your side, it can breed disaster.
It can.
But also at the same time, what a blessing that it is when God is with you.
Oh yeah. I wanted to mention, we're going to have a array of ages,
yes,
in there, and we're going to have a guy named Matt Nelson that plays harmonica with us, and he is his 93rd birthday this month.
What about that?
And
that's amazing.
He's going to be there, and then we'll have a 9-year-old which is
man.
with the Hognet band, and
9 decades of difference.
Yeah. and so and some of the things that you think about with air travel and flight and things like that, and all this Matt Nelson tells a story of when he was a kid that his dad knew down in Kitty Hawk and how you went across on the ferry. He knew the ferry driver. Okay, so he says, I remember the ferry driver, and that ferry driver's the one that took the Wright brothers over.
Isn't that crazy?
And from 1902 to 1907, he took the ferry. That's when.
And that's something.
And then he knew that guy.
Gosh.
And so
and we'll have the same gentleman here. On the stage.
Yeah.
Coming up on May.
Yeah, and you think about that, think about the technology that we're sitting around in this room with. And
that's incredible.
And then, this man who's going to be on stage.
Those generations are not that far removed, really.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that music is what is bringing everybody together. We've talked recently on the show and here at Clearview about the importance of generations standing together. And Dr. Shah, the term that you put forward, and I love it so much because the heart is behind it, is an intergenerational church.
Absolutely. Not just a multi-generational. Multi-generation means we have all different generational groups, like silent generation, the boomers, the Gen Xers or the busters, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're all here. Intergenerational is where they learn to interact and appreciate each other.
Yes.
And I believe so much that we don't have that in our country right now. We're divided. We're divided on so many levels.
So many levels. Age is one of them.
Age is one of them. Racial, socioeconomic, political. I mean, so much division. And I think it's the enemy has used certain people to make it happen.
And even I think one of the podcasts you guys were talking about, shoes. And was this old man shoes?
New Balances.
And I was
my new I was wearing them. They're around. I think they're in here somewhere.
And I was going, Kay, I've got those shoes.
I remember us talking about that. Like, are you calling me out of the show? I have those shoes in my closet.
I think they're in the other room. But I certainly wore my New Balances today.
Yeah, the showing the generation that night,
right?
In the praise, the Hognet family is Jamie Hognet, and they're they're out of Bahama, and
I know Bahama. Yes.
yeah, and I always kid him, tell him he's from the Bahamas. But he's 49, and he learned in church how to play and with his dad and his uncle, and so when he was 15, and so his kids, he wanted to get them involved in it. So they were 5, 6, and 7, and it's a dobro player, a banjo player, and a fiddle player. Evan, Grayson, and Brooke. And Brooke is the oldest girl. She's 17 and plays the fiddle, and it's beautiful. And they're going to do some songs that it's just going to be jaw dropping. I just saw,
Well, see, we're passing on this tradition down to the next generation, and that's necessary. That's essential to maintain the culture, maintain who we are as a people. If we don't pass it on, if we just hang on to it, it'll die with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So having these multi generations on the stage, it's so vital, and hopefully it'll inspire other people.
Yeah, and I think everybody has to understand that we have to listen and we have to use the culture music of today.
Right. That's right.
To attract them. They you want to have something fresh and something new.
Absolutely.
But still, I don't want to lose the stuff that was there.
That's right. Absolutely. I think you build on it.
Yeah,
you build on it,
and you do it, and you present it in new ways. The gospel has been around for 2,000 years since Jesus preached it, and yet at the same time, we're not finding a new message, but we're finding that same message, those same words, and we're presenting it to people in the context of today. I mean, that's why we do all the things we do with the TV or the light board or all these things that we do on the stage to attract people, because the message stays the same.
Absolutely.
And it's the same, I think, with these songs, these gospel songs. The message they're putting out is the same, but we're finding new and creative ways to do it, and we're showing those generations that, this music is for all generations to enjoy.
That's right. And just to add just a little bit more to the separation of the youth and the old there, you can think about the first plane that people saw.
Right.
They saw a first plane, and now you see a plane go over and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, nobody thinks about it.
Nobody thinks anything about it.
That's right.
And so, the technology has gone. It was at awe. The phones, your phones, when it first came out, the bag phones and things like that. It was like, wow, he can talk to somebody in his car.
It should be a massive brick is what they used to have at one time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's something to be said about, where we live in a world where we're so overloaded with information, we're so overloaded with negativity and bad news that, you listen to bluegrass and gospel music and it just takes you to a time where things just seemed simpler, like where things seemed easier, like the message of God was just clearer?
I do. I do. And that's, I kind of put that on the back of one of the flyers about it takes you back to a simpler time. I know that I do this when I look at the news, and it gets so overwhelming and so frustrating. And so I know the answer to that.
That's
I
right.
know what you should do. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't we doing it? You know what to do. But, But I take the remote and I change and I watch Andy Griffith A Simpler Time. I go back and I watch something that puts me in a better place.
Like the Darlings.
Yeah.
So let's talk. We've kind of
for those of you who didn't get the Darlings, that's the group that the boys come out from the hills for Andy Griffith.
Got a jug. Jump in and hang on.
What was the
one? One and a two and a one.
We gave the woman a shout out. I can't remember her name. What was it?
Darlene.
Darlene. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Darlene. Yeah, that's what it was.
Ernest T. Best. I love you, Darlene.
Sorry, Ryan.
No,
Go
not
ahead.
at all. So we've kind of hinted at it a little bit, but for the sake of our listeners and our viewers, let's talk a little bit about this actual night of worship that we're talking about, the Gospel Night of Praise, coming up right here at Clearview on May the 21st. It's going to be such a wonderful night of beautiful music. Like we said, songs that remind you of a simpler time, kind of take you back and give you that feeling of nostalgia of when life was a little bit simpler, life had a little slower pace to it, and just that spirit of unity across the generations. I mean, you've talked, Mr. Jimmy, on the show about there being a person in their 90s and then a 9-year-old who are going to be on the stage together, united in music. But more than just music, it's going to be a night of praise, a night of worship.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of started making these performances in churches and things to support my wife's ministry and to help and use talents that I had and the guys that I played with and want to showcase Chip as a wonderful musician but if no one ever hears it,
right.
That's
right.
I wanted to
that's
get
right.
it out.
That's
there,
right.
Yeah.
And so I want people to come back and enjoy nostalgic country gospel performed in a Gaither style. And that if you don't know, they don't know what that is. It's a person that MCs it, and they have people sitting around and they bring them on, and that's where the Guy Penrod and
that's right,
and all they
Mark
guys,
Lowry and
all
that's
those
right.
guys were, and so if you come, you'll see multi people. It's not just, it'll be a core group there, but then there'll be other people, and I think Mike Galantis may even make an appearance and help us with
That's
it.
John's dad.
And I wanted it to be, like father passing down to son.
That's right.
kind of thing.
That's right. Well, he did tell you to
he told
play
me
the guitar.
That was required. So I was all I wanted to do was sit in the room and play video games. So he was like, I'm going to tell you, you can take up sports or you can learn to play music. And I was like, I guess I'll do sports. And then I did it for like a week, and I was like, you know what? Now I'll play music. So,
Music sounds like it.
music sounds pretty good. So I spent an entire school year learning guitar. He made me learn how to play it. I'm glad he did, because
Look where you are.
Shaped
you
the
never
outcome
lose
of my life.
Yeah.
I'll never
you
lose
never lose it.
That's right.
Chip, how long have you been playing?
Well, I ain't been playing as long as you have, because you said y'all started back in '73. And a guy by the name of Tony Mary, he taught me the first chords on the guitar. And we were going on Saturday night, we're going down to a guy's shop, and he taught me 2 chords one night. And then the next week I worked on them 2 chords. And when I got down to the shop the next following week, he had a whole list of songs with just 2 chords.
It was just those 2?
Oh, wow.
And we played Bert all night long, just 2 chord songs.
Man. Wow.
And then he taught me how to play another chord that night, and I learned that one the following week. And it kept going until I learned a bunch of chords on the guitar.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's a great way to learn. I mean, because you got to think.
Cause back then, we didn't have YouTube or nothing like that to learn stuff like the kids have today. You just had to pick up what you can from where.
Right.
I mean, I was driving down the road, and I see him out in the field, and I know his family was musically inclined. You know, I'd seen his brother and his daddy playing. Matter of fact, his brother and dad played it at when I was in school. In high school, we had I was in what was that? The agriculture thing.
Oh, FFA.
FFA, yeah.
Okay.
We had a father and son banquet, and them 2 played at our father and son banquet. And I wished I could do this, Well, years later, I run across, I was driving down the road, and I saw this guy working in the field. So I stopped and told him, I said, Tony, did you ever learn how to play guitar? He said, yeah. And I said, well, look, I got one. I want somebody to teach me how to play. He told me, he said, well, come on down here Saturday night. We're going to be down here playing a little bit.
That's awesome.
I'll show you something,
Wow.
And that was probably around 75 or 76. And that
Ever
was
since.
my first experience with playing
Wow.
anything.
It's 40-some years now.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And that leads into, the night of worship that we're talking about, the gospel night of praise. That's coming up right here at Clearview, May the 21st. If people would like more information, you can text us here at the radio show, 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com. Especially if you're local, if you're in the area, right in North Carolina, we'd love for you guys to come out and be a part of this beautiful night of worship where you're going to see people of all different ages engaged in this act of worship together.
That's right.
Enjoying the same kind of music, all with the purpose of supporting, of course, the ministry Anchor of Hope right here at Clearview, and of just a night of worship, a night of praise together.
That's right. And if you want to listen to that Anchor of Hope episode where we actually had your wife, Miss Kay Barrier, on the show before, we will link that in the description of this podcast. So you guys can click that link.
Important ministry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very critical. So we want to show our support for that ministry. We want you guys to show your support for that ministry as well.
That's right. Make sure you guys check it out. The Gospel Night of Praise coming up May the 21st here at Clearview Church. If you'd like more information or if you'd like directions to the church, you can send a text to 252-582-5028 or contact us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Mr. Jimmy, Mr. Chip, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was fun.
This was very fun. Absolutely.
Well, my question is, are we going to do Man of Constant Sorrow?
Come on, man.
I just had to ask. I just had to ask.
Oh, I've seen trouble all my days.
Hey, yeah, we've been picked on about doing that song. Is that's one everybody knows.
I know.
Very true. So cool. We love you guys. We'll see you next time on Clearview Today.